Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live with another quick tips tutorials brought to you by Adobe Photoshop Elements Tutorials Group. And let's jump right into today's poster. Wanted to know how to make these candles come out a little bit here where they're kind of dark here. Like we don't see any candles. So if I may be so bold as to say that this picture needs a little bit more than just candle fixing. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Basically, I'm going to start with the color correction and the damages to the picture. So if we start with this Band-Aid tool right here, and I have it here down here, it's a 15-point hard line. And if I choose the photo, I can just tap right here and watch that little white speck, it's gone. How about along here, there's this line here. If I go along this line and let go, it's gone. So I want to just kind of fix little things where I see mistakes going on here. And you see as I'm tapping, see there's little speckles around there. It pretty much helps the speckles against the back wall so that they're not like white and stark. Okay, so that's pretty much it for that. I was going to fix up here these speckles here. You actually can. I could go like this. But you know what? It's not necessary because we're actually going to get rid of this and create a new background. So before we do that, now let's do some color correction. The whole photo needs to be color corrected. I'm going to go up here to Enhance and pick here Auto Color Correction. Watch what happens to the picture. Boom. That looks good, but I think it needs a little bit of warmth now. So I'm going to go to Enhance. This is normally used for skin tone, but it actually really does help for photos like this. I'm going to go to Color, and then now down here Adjust for Skin Tone, and watch what happens. If you see, it gives me an eyedropper, so I'm going to try to find something that's white right around here, and boom, look at that. It gave us a little bit of more glow, a little warmth, but it wasn't quite as red as it was before. I can change the color temperature to a cooler temperature or to a warmer temperature. See that? I can go all the way up to here, let's say, but that'd be too much. So I kind of like it somewhere in the middle. Now I'll hit OK, and now it looks more like realistic color. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to straighten this out a little bit like that. So the next thing I want to do is duplicate these top ends of these candles so that we can use them later. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on the layer and duplicate it. I'll turn off the bottom layer because we're going to use that later. I'm going to pick the eraser and come down here and pick a soft 5-point. And I'm going to basically just recreate the flame by cutting it out, basically. And I want to make sure that I leave a little bit of the original, and I'm going to actually leave a little bit down here that might be used as the wick. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the lasso tool, and I'll make it the polygon. And I'm going to cut this out. As soon as I encircle the whole thing, I'll double click. It makes a jaggedy line. I'll right click and hit copy. And it just made a new layer on top. Now I'm going to move over to the other candle and basically do the same thing. And there we've got 2 layers of candles. Now let's go ahead and grab a piece of the candle here that we can duplicate. So with the eraser again, I'm going to erase along the edges of the candle. And there we go. Once again, with the polygon tool, I'm going to right click and hit copy. So we got 3 new layers. And now that we're done playing around with this second version, I can delete that version, the main version. I'm going to hit delete. And now we're just on our bottom main layer. And I want to recreate this whole background. I'm going to grab a color that I want to use, maybe something down here. You can see right now the color's set at like sort of a red pinkish. So let's change that with the eyedropper tool, and we'll grab something nice and warm. And you can see it's turned into this color. I'm going to start a new layer, and basically with that color I can take the paint bucket and just paint in the whole thing with that. Next, what we got to do is cut everything out, and I can do that by lessening this to about 40% opacity. And with the eraser again, I'm going to basically cut everything out. Now this is too small of a brush, so I'll make that like 15 point or so. And this will allow us to leave just the background. I'm going to bring the 40 back up to 100%, and I just want to cut off that bottom section. I'll zoom in and cut that bottom section out. Easy peasy. It's a little time consuming, but it sure does get the job done. double click there. I'm going to zoom out and watch the photo. Boom. Now we got the bottom half cut out. We're going to do the same thing with the rest of the images above there. So I'm going to bring this back down to like 50% or so. And I'm going to zoom in. And with the eraser, I'm going to cut everything out, basically. Now that we got it all cut out, I'm going to bring the opacity back up to 100% and take the polygon tool once again and just cut everything out. And we hit delete, and finally we cut the cake out. Once we're done with the polygon here, I'll double click, which closes the loop, and hit delete. And there we go. Now let's go ahead and replace the candles that are missing with our portion of candles that we made earlier. And we can bring this over here like this. And I can take the eraser and soften where it connects to the top of the glass. And that looks good. Let's zoom out and turn our wicks back on. Here's one and here's two. They're in the wrong place, so all we got to do is bring these back over to here and move on over to this one. I'll bring that down to where we want it. So now that we got us an almost finished fixed picture, I'm going to do one more thing and get rid of a couple things like this knife here and these salt and pepper shakers. So I'm going to grab the stamp tool and make sure the size is at 100%. That looks like a good size. I'm going to grab a piece of the image right around here. So I hold out the Alt button and left click once, and that basically grabbed, and you can see what it looks like. And now I just do is just draw over the piece there, and it totally takes it out. Now to take these out, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold the Alt. I'm going to pick a piece right around here. You're looking for portions that are clean and don't have other portions next to it. So if I start right around here and I hold the Alt and left click once, then I can go over here to this salt shaker and just go straight down. Boom. And then do it again. I'll choose the portion right here, Alt and left click. I'll come over here, and there we go. One last time. Hit Alt and left click. I'll go over to the salt shaker right here and come straight down. Boom. And that looks a lot better. And finally, if you want it to look like a photograph with white edges, all we got to do is add a layer, choose white, fill in that layer with white using the paint bucket. Now that just filled in on top. So as long as I drag this to the bottom, you'll see it right, it's underneath. So now we grab the picture and simply reduce the size on all four corners using the top left and the bottom right. And there we go. We got little picture frames here, and it looks back like a picture. And that's all there is to it for this tutorial. This is Rich calling it quits, saying over and out.